So if you remember, we started to discuss functions. We said that functions is a special type of what, of relations. How so? Function is a relation. It's a relation which satisfy that each x in the domain has one and only one image in the range. If you remember, we said, if we have an equation, we can tell if it defines a function or not by what? By solving the equation for y. For example, these equations, the shown equations, are what are these functions? These relation define functions. Why? Because this is a single equation which defines y. This is a single equation which defines y. But sometimes, not all the time, the equations define what? Define a function. For example, this one, number 7, this equation does not define a function. Why? If you try to solve for y, so move 7 to the side, x minus 7 equals to minus y squared. Multiply everything by minus 1. So minus x plus 7 equals to y squared. Therefore, y squared is 7 minus x. Now, if you want to solve for y, you need to take radical for this equation. Radical of 7 minus x. But radical, you must add plus or minus. So how many equations define y? 2 equations. 2. If we have more than one equation define y, this is not. This equation does not define a function. What about 8? Do you think it defines a function or not? Thank you, Ahmed. This equation defines a function. Why so? I mean, these equations looking the same, right? But watch out for what? For the even power and the odd power. When you have even power, you have to add plus or minus. When you have odd power, you don't have to add plus or minus. So if you solve this equation, you will do the same until this moment. Y cubed equals to 7 minus x. After that, you have to take the cubic root, right? To kill the third power, you have to take the cubic root for both sides. There's no plus or minus. So how many equations define y? Just one equation. So yes, this equation defines y. So simply, if you have in the equation that if you were asked if an equation defines a function or not, if you have y, if you have in this equation y to the power even, then this equation does not define a function. If you have y to the power odd, then this equation defines a function. So for example, if 7 equals to 2 plus x squared plus y to the power 3, does it define a function? Does it define a function? Vote. Vote, Hamdan. Let me start it over. Does this equation, the red equation, defines a function or not? You can vote now. Thank you, Ammar. Thank you, Hamdan. Yes, this equation defines a function. Why? Because you see y cube. There's no harm when you solve the equation for y cube will be 7 minus 2 minus x squared. So y cube will be 5 minus x squared. When you take the cubic root, you'll end up with one equation representing y. I just said, when you have an equation, just look for y. Look at y. I don't care about x. Just look at y. Concentrate on y. This is y. The power is odd, so I can take the cubic root without plus or minus. Now, what about if I slightly change this equation? 7 equals to 5 plus x cubed plus y to the power 4. Does this equation defines a function or not? Thank you, Hamdan. Thank you, Abdullah. Yes, this equation does not define a function. It's not a function. It's a relation, but it's not a function. Why? Because of this. This is raised to the fourth power. When you solve this equation for the fourth power, of course, it means you move everything to this side. You need to take the fourth root, of 2 minus x cubed. But this is even, you need to add plus or minus. This is why this equation does not define a function. So this equation is not or does not define a function. All right. Now, if we have a graph of a function, I'm given what a graph of a function, and I want to know if this graph represents a function or not. For example, if we have a circle, if I draw a circle inside the xy, does this graph, this one, represent a function or not? A parabola. If I have a parabola, does the parabola represent a function or not? How to know? We apply what's so-called the line test. So you have to draw vertical lines. If these lines, if all the time these lines intersect the curve in at most one point, then yes. Then yes, this graph would be what? Would be a function. So a graph defines y as a function of x if no vertical line intersects the graph in more than one point. Let us check the circle. You see, when I draw a vertical line, it intersects the graph in 2 points. And this violates the condition. If no vertical line intersects the graph in more than one point, this is a vertical line and it intersects the circle in 2 points. Therefore, this graph is not a function. Okay, what about this parabola? Try to sketch a vertical line. This one, it intersects in 1 point. Take another vertical line, 1 point, 1 point, 1 point, 1 point, 1 point. You see, any vertical line will intersect the parabola in at most 1 point. So yes, this is a function. This graph represents what? A function. Vertical عمودي سيف. Okay, so which of these graphs represent a function? Hold a second. No, 20, 21, 22, or 23. Which graph represent a function? which of these graphs represent a function. Only 20, 20 and 22, 20, 21 and 22, or all of them? Let us check. So Abdulaziz, Ahmed, Hamdan, Saif, excellent. So this one is a function y. Keep drawing vertical lines. As you see, all the vertical lines intersect this curve in one point, only one point. Now, so this is a function. For the second one, it's not a function y, because simply if you take the y-axis is vertical line, right? You see, it intersects this curve in 3 points. If you go to slightly to the right also, if you draw a line here, also it will intersect the curve in 3 points. So this is not a function. For the third one, you see, if you draw vertical lines, it will intersect the curve in only 1 point. So yes, this is a function. Matter of fact, this function is f of x equals to 3. The last one is not a function. Why? Because if you take this vertical line, you see it intersects this line in infinitely many points. Therefore, this is not what? Not a function. Okay, let us make sure you understand this. You understand this principle. So I'm going to ask you again, which of these graphs represent a function? And concentrate on 11. I mean, it's a little bit confusing. So which of these graphs represent a function? 9, 10, or 11? Very good. So all of you answer correctly. Abdulaziz, Abdullah, Ahmed, Hamdan, and Saif, all of you answer what correctly. Only 10 is what is a function. 9, clearly it's not a function because each vertical line inside the circle intersected in 2 points. 10, see the vertical lines intersect the curve at 1 point only. In this case, if you take y-axis again, you see intersect the function at 2 points. So this is not a function, this is not a function, this one is a function. So 10 only is what is a function. The same here, I mean the same exercise. Okay, before asking you about this, what's this notation? This is the absolute value of x. What does it mean? It means the absolute value of x. It means it's the same x if x is positive, or 0, of course. It's minus x if x is negative. So if you have absolute value of 7, 7 is 7, absolute value of 7. 7 is positive number. Therefore, the absolute value is the number itself. Absolute value of minus 3, for example. Minus 3 is a negative number. It's a negative number. So you have to multiply it by minus. So the output is minus 3, which is 3. Absolute value of 0. Absolute value of x is x if x is positive or 0. So it's the same, like the number inside the absolute value bracket. So therefore, the answer is 0. Now, how to solve an equation with absolute value? If absolute value of x equals to a, then x is plus or minus a. If you want to remove the absolute value brackets, you have to add plus or minus to the other side. For example, if I solve absolute value of x plus 1 equals to 5, I would say x plus 1 equals to plus or minus 5. So x will have two results. Of course, after you move this one to this side, x will be either 5 minus 1 or minus 5 minus 1. So x is 4 or x is minus 6. Okay, so going back to the question. Let me split it into 3 questions. What do you think about the first part? Does it represent a function or not? The first part. Each element in the domain has one and only one image in the range. Does it mean that the first one is a function or not? Thank you, Ahmed. Thank you, Hamdan. Thank you, Saif. Yes, this relation is a function. Why? You see, 2 has how many images in the range? Just one, 4. 3 has only one image in the range. 8 has only one image in the range. So yes, it is a function. The case that we don't want it, the opposite. If we have 4 and it goes to 2 and it goes to 3, this is not a function. Okay, what about B? Is this equation represent a function or not? Absolute value of y plus 1 equals to x. Does this equation define a function or not? Very good. Abdulaziz, Ahmed, Hamdan, and Saif, excellent. This is not a function. Why? Because if you solve this equation for y, you have to what? To eliminate this bracket, the absolute value bracket. So you have to add plus or minus for this x. So y in this case is minus 1 plus or minus x. How many equations do we have in this case, which defines y? 2 equations. Therefore, this is not a function. Matter of fact, we can't tell how many elements are matching x equals 1. When you substitute x equal 1, y will be minus 1 plus or minus 1. Therefore, y will be 0 or y will be minus 2. You see, 2 elements matching x equal 1. So it's like this. This is 1. It has 2 images, 0 and minus 2. Therefore, this equation does not define a function. What about the last one? Although we solved it before, but let me check if you understand what we said. I want more responses. 3 out of 6. What do you think, Safe? Is it a function or not? Okay, thank you, Abdullah. Thank you, Ahmed. Thank you, Hamdan. It's not. It does not define a function. Why? Because of this. Y raised to the second power. Even. The power is even. So when I solve for y, I have to add plus or minus. So y squared is 25 minus x squared. Y alone is plus or minus radical of 25 minus x squared. Therefore, this is not a function. Simply, if in the domain 0, take 0, substitute x equals 0, 25 minus 0 is 25, radical 25 is 5, so it goes to 5, and it goes to minus 5. All right, so if the relation define a function, you can call this function f of x, g of x, h of x, whatever it is. It's a rule assigned a value y to an input value x. So if I give you this function, this means that given x, you can find y using this rule. Y will be 2x squared minus 3x plus 1. Now, if I want to calculate f of minus 3, what I have to do? So this is x. You want to find y, you have to replace each x with minus 3. So 2 times minus 3 squared minus 3 times minus 3 plus 1. And use your calculator right now. What is the answer? Okay. No. What's the final answer of this operation? Two times 9 plus 9. Okay, thank you, sir. So 28. So when you have x equals to minus 3, the image would be 28. Okay, now what is the image of radical 2? So replace each x with radical 2. So 2 radical 2 squared minus 3 times radical 2 plus 1. Radical 2 squared is 2. 2 times 2, 4. So the final answer is 5 minus 3 radical 2. And you can use your calculator to approximate this answer. So what's the approximation of this answer for 3 decimal places? Three decimal places. This is the full answer. I want for to round it to 3 decimal places. You have to count 3 decimals after the decimal. So we have 0.757. This is 3 decimal places. If you want to round it for 3 decimal places, go to 7, 5, and 7. These are 3 decimal places. But you have to watch out for what? For this number, which is after the third decimal. If it's greater than 5, you have to add 1 to this. If it's less than 5, just chop it. So this is the final answer. The final answer is 0.757. Using 3 decimal places, 0.757. I'm saying decimal places. Decimal places means after the decimal. 1, 2, 3. Okay, now they're asking us to find f of a. So you need to replace each x with a. This will give us 2a squared minus 3a plus 1. And this is the final answer. The last one is to find f of 3 plus z. So replace each x with 3 plus z. So 2x squared minus 3 times x plus 1. You have to replace each x with 3 plus z. 3 plus z, 3 plus z. And you need to simplify. This is minus 3 times 3 minus 9, minus 3 times z minus 3z plus 1. What about these brackets? You have to FOIL them. How to FOIL? The first times the first term times the first term, 9. The outers, 3z, FOIL. The inner, z times 3 is a 3z. And the last z times z is z squared. So 18 plus 6z plus 6z plus 2z squared minus 9 minus 3z plus 1. And simplify. 2z squared, you see 12z minus 3z plus 9z the numbers. 18 minus 9 is 9, plus 1 is 10. This is the final answer. Okay, what about if I ask you this? Find all x for which f of x equals to 0. Maybe equals to 1 first. I want all the values, all x values for which f of x equals to 1. What I should do in this case? You have to solve this quadratic equation equals to 1. This is a quadratic equation. Of course, you can solve it using your calculator, but you have to make one of the sides equals to 0. So you have to move this one to this side. Why? 1 minus 1 is 0. And now use mode 5, 3. Mode 5, 3. Use your calculator, mode 5 and 3. They will ask you for A, B, and C. A is the, the coefficient of x squared, which is 2. B is the coefficient of x, which is minus 3. C is the free term, which does not have any x, 0. So what are the solutions in this case? And thank you, Saif. Yes, excellent. So x1 is 1.5, x2 is 0. These are the solutions of this equation. Or maybe one of you will say, I want to factor x as a common factor. You can do that, yes. You can pull x as a common factor. 2x minus 3 equals to 0. Therefore, x equals to 0, or 2x minus 3 equals to 0. X equals to 0, or 2x equals to 3, 3 over 2. So yes, this coincides with what was Saif's answer. Okay, I want all of you to try to solve this and use your calculator, mode 5-3. Find all x for which f of x equals to 0. So what are the solutions? So when you solve this equation, we usually what? Starting with the last term, 1 times 1. The first term is what? 2x squared. 2 is 2 times 1. The signs is minus and plus, so this is minus and this is minus. Therefore, x is 1/2. The other one is 1. This should be your answer. I don't know if you used mode 5.3 correctly or not. X, I think 92 or 99, I don't know. I think 99. Yes, this one. So you have to press mode, then 5. You'll get, 3 choices, I think. 1, 2, 3. 1 for maybe linear equations. The second one for a cubic equation, I think, maybe something like that. The third one is ax squared plus bx plus c equals to 0. You have to choose the 3. You press 3. After that, they will ask you for A, for B, and for C. In our case, 2x squared minus 3x plus 1 equals to 0. Therefore, this is your A, this is your B, and this is your C. So A should be 2, B should be minus 3, and this one should be 1. When you press enter, you will get 1.5.
مستر
Yes.
أنا كنت أحسب
إيه؟
إنه لازم نعوض بسالب 3.
لا، أنا مطلوب إن أوجد أنا ال values of x
أنا
where
عوضت
f
بسالب 3.
0.
سموها.
حاصل خير، ما في مشكلة، ما في مشكلة إن شاء الله. طيب. Let us solve this. Then we have this g of x. We want to find g of 3. What is g of 3? What's g of 3? Is it 0, 12, or radical of 12? Very good. Yes, so uh, g of 3, 2 times 3 is 6, 6 minus 6 is 0, radical of 0 is 0. Now what is g of 4? What is g of 4? Is it 0, radical of minus 2, or does not exist? Thank you, Saif. Thank you, Abdullah. Thank you, Ahmed. The answer does not exist. Why so? I mean, g of 4, just replace each x with 4. Radical 6 minus 2 times 4. Radical of, you have to start with the product, right? 2 times 4 is 8. 6 minus 8 is minus 2. Do we have anything in this? Is it real number? Try to use your calculator, radical of minus 2, and see what's the answer.
Math error.
Math error. Yes, thank you, sir. So math error. So this answer does not exist. This answer does not exist. How about this? I don't want you to find it, but I want you to answer if this answer exists or not. Does g of minus 4 exist? Yes or no? Sorry, just repeat the vote. Excellent. Yes, it exists. G of minus 4 is 6 minus 2 times minus 4. We started with the product. Minus 2 times minus 4 is a plus 8. 6 plus 8 is radical 14. And this is real. So yes, it exists. What is G of 2W? What is g of 2w? Excellent. So what's g of you go to x and you replace it with 2w. So it's 6 minus, and you have to apply the product first. 2 times 2w is 4w. So radical of 6 minus 4w.